The film begins in Brooklyn, 1999. A girl named Rosario, or Rose, is celebrating her birthday. Her mother, Elena, tells her to go find her grandmother because dinner is about to begin. Although her relationship with Elena is strained, Rose's father, Oscar, loves her deeply and tells her that one day all her dreams will come true. Rose enters her grandmother's room and sees many caterpillars. She invites her grandmother, Griselda, to pray before dinner, but Griselda refuses due to their different beliefs. Manhattan, 2025. Rose is now a grown woman, but she appears confused when Griselda calls her. At work, Griselda calls again, but Rose refuses to answer. Rose works at a stock investment firm. She is planning to have dinner with her father, but due to bad weather, she is forced to take the train. Eventually, she answers the call, but it turns out to be the building superintendent where Griselda lives. He informs her that Griselda has passed away. He urges Rose to come immediately because Griselda lacked the documents needed to process her death. Rose informs her father, and they both head over to take care of Griselda's remains. Rose arrives and meets the building superintendent, Marty. As they walk to Griselda's room, Rose shares that her mother has died, and Griselda was the last remaining member of her family. She enters the room and sees Griselda's body covered with a cloth. Despite their long separation, Rose had always loved her grandmother. She is surprised to see many wounds and bruises on Griselda's body. The apartment is extremely filthy, with rotting food everywhere. Rose notices an ambulance arriving, but is confused when it doesn't stop. She calls the police, but they tell her they're overwhelmed due to a snowstorm and ask her to wait patiently for the ambulance to return. Suddenly, the room shakes, and Griselda's body falls from the bed. Rose moves it to a safer spot. Then she hears a sound coming from Griselda's corpse. She is horrified when maggots start crawling out of her nose. One maggot burrows into Rose's hand, causing her great pain, but she manages to pull it out through her ear. Rose enters her grandmother's room again and finds a secret door. Just as she is about to open it, someone knocks. It's a neighbor named Joe. He says he wants to retrieve something Griselda borrowed from him, but Rose refuses to let him in. She then removes a metal thorn embedded in Griselda's foot and finds a key. She returns to the room and opens the secret door. Inside, she finds a dark room and a strange object labeled Cobayende. She is shocked to find a childhood photo of herself, along with her teeth, hair, and even an old tampon. Feeling something is terribly wrong, Rose flees the room. Still terrified, she decides to leave, but bumps into Joe again. Despite Joe's warning, she leaves anyway. At the train station, she is chased by a dog and is forced to return to Griselda's apartment. Rose grows increasingly suspicious that Griselda had been practicing dark magic. After searching online, she finds an article about Palo, a belief system Griselda followed. Palo is a dark religion that combines African traditions and Latin American Catholicism. Its practitioners, known as Palero, offer sacrifices of animals and human remains to spirits using iron cauldrons called nganga, which are used to make pacts and cast curses. Rose is shocked to realize that the symbol she saw in Griselda's room is a curse symbol. She examines the wound on her hand and discovers the same symbol on her palm. Oscar calls to say he's almost there. Rose tells him that Griselda cursed her before dying. Oscar doesn't believe her and urges her to stay calm. Realizing how frightened Rose is, he tells her to leave the apartment. Rose believes Griselda might have cursed her out of anger because she didn't attend her mother's funeral. But Rose refuses to leave. She wants to break the curse. She retrieves the nganga from the secret room. While doing so, she encounters a terrifying woman, Cobayende, but narrowly escapes. Rose then finds Griselda's Palo book, which says the curse can only be broken if both her blood and Griselda's are placed into the nganga. Rose cuts her hand, but Griselda's blood has dried. Suddenly, Rose's dead phone turns on and plays a voice message from Griselda apologizing to her. Then the phone dies again and Cobayende appears. Rose tries to retrieve Griselda's blood, but fails. Griselda's corpse suddenly rises and grabs Rose's face, but Rose manages to escape. Joe returns asking again for his item. Rose lets him in and asks him about Griselda. Joe tells her Griselda loved her very much and prayed day and night for Rose's dreams to come true. After hearing that, Rose realizes Griselda didn't curse her. She had made a pact with Kobayindi, the spirit of disease and healing in Palo, to ensure Rose would become successful. In return, when Rose's dreams came true, Kobayindi would come to torture the pact maker to death at sunrise. Rose checks the book again. It says the pact can be broken if the Palaro who made the deal offers their blood and soul to the Nganga. Rose performs a ritual to summon Kobayindi. Just then, an ambulance arrives and Marty asks her to open the door. He and the medics enter but find the room empty. Griselda's body is gone. It turns out Rose had hidden it in the secret room. Kobayindi appears again, then vanishes along with Griselda's corpse. Rose then sees Griselda's body hanging from the ceiling. She brings it down and continues the ritual. As she finishes chanting, a hand emerges from Griselda's mouth. Rose enters a dreamlike state and meets her mother, Elena. Elena tells her she's proud of her. Rose apologizes for leaving her and Griselda. After her parents divorced, Rose chose to live with her father, thinking he would help her fulfill her dreams. She regrets not attending her mother's funeral. Elena tells her to close her eyes, then suddenly transforms into Kobayindi. Rose wakes up in a truck with several undocumented Mexican immigrants. Panic breaks out as U.S. Border Patrol approaches, and among the immigrants is Elena. Rose, now fully aware, performs a ritual using the Palo book to trap Kobayindi inside Griselda's body. Slowly, the spirit enters Griselda's corpse, and Rose survives. Oscar arrives and helps Rose, who's sitting on the floor. She notices the symbol on her hand has disappeared. Oscar is surprised that Rose knows what happened at the border. He tells her Elena was 3 months pregnant when they crossed, and she changed after that. Rose invites him to pray with her in the Palo tradition, and medics come to take Griselda's body. While cleaning the room, Oscar finds Joe's missing item, a dry frying pan. Rose then notices something odd in an old photo of her father. It turns out Oscar was the one who made the original pact with Kobayindi. On Rose's birthday, afraid he couldn't make her happy, Oscar had secretly entered Griselda's room and made the pact. Griselda, upon discovering this, sacrificed herself so the spirit wouldn't torment him. She placed her blood in the Nganga every day until she died. That's why her body was covered in wounds. Rose remembers that if a Palero offers their blood in a pact, both their body and soul are eventually sacrificed to Kobayindi. Something terrifying now happens to Oscar, because he had once offered his blood. Possessed by the spirit, he tries to kill Rose. Joe suddenly appears to save her, but Oscar kills him. Taking advantage of a distraction, Rose stabs Oscar and impales his body on the Nganga. As he dies, Oscar tells Rose he loves her. Then he dies. 6 months later, Rose is praying in front of a photo when something strange happens. She starts coughing, and Kobayindi's hand emerges from her mouth. The film ends.